are wondering why I'm wearing exactly the same outfit as I was wearing in my bonus video, that is because I'm filming them at the same time, and I could have got changed, but did I want to? No. Do I care? No. So I'm wearing the same outfit and I'm drinking the same wine, and you all can deal with it. Hi guys, welcome back to a page in the chapter, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Paige. I like to read a lot of books and then I like to talk about them. So today, let's talk about death. Now I think as a society we need to talk about death more. It is a part of life and it should not be so taboo to talk about. So I study archaeology and anthropology at university. I've kind of ended up down a kind of more forensic science kind of route. Didn't do it intentionally, but all my modules have led that way. So I thought I would put together a list of books that are kind of forensic science based, kind of memoirs, non-fiction, true crime, kind of that sort of reading recommendations. I know it's an area that a lot of people are interested in, and I also just think that a lot of these books are very helpful for trying to understand death a little bit more. We're all morbidly fascinated in it, either because we're weirdos like me or because we are terrified of it. And so these are kind of my favourite forensic science, memoir, non-fiction book type things. Do like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. If this kind of recommendation is not for you, that is absolutely fine. I have a whole list of other recommendations for you to go and check out. Please do. If you're interested, you may as well stick around. I upload every Friday. There was a bonus video this week, so sometimes you might just get 2 videos from me a week. Oh, and I like wine. Very, very cheap wine because I'm a university student. Let's get into the recommendations because I have too many, as always. So the first one on this list, I've spoken about it before on this channel. It is my favourite book on this list, quite possibly one of my favourite non-fiction books of all time. It was a very, very, very formative book for me, and that is Unnatural Causes by Dr. Richard Shepherd. On the book it's just titled as Dr. Shepherd, and you can kind of convince yourself that it's Dr. Derek Shepherd. So Dr. Richard Shepherd is a forensic pathologist, so he deals with autopsies and that kind of thing. He does the fleshy stuff and I tend to stick with the bone stuff. That's kind of what he deals with, and it just kind of follows his life, how he kind of came into this field in the first place and how working in this field has affected his adult life, his career, his relationships with his wife and his children. This book particularly looks at a lot of case studies, which was the thing that I enjoyed most about this book. It really kind of reads like you are watching a kind of CSI type show. Very much goes into the cases that he's worked on and how his work has helped, all that sort of thing. It was really, really interesting, and particularly I think a lot of people would find interesting is he offers his thoughts on the autopsy of Princess Diana. He did not do the autopsy for her, but he kind of offers his opinions on how this whole conspiracy theory came to be, what he thinks of it, kind of the science that could explain it, that kind of thing. It's a very graphic book. Scientifically explaining death is going to freak you out, and this one isn't. There are other books on this list that kind of deal with it in a more roundabout way. This is a very empirical, objective approach to death and is handled as such, and I think when an author writes about something objectively it's kind of easy to disassociate. So I thought it was fine, but then I'm really weirdly interested in it, so maybe that's why. The next book on this list is Bone Remains, Cold Cases in Forensic Anthropology by Mary Manhein. Forensic anthropology is specifically the discipline that I'm studying currently. Forensic anthropology looks at the bones. A forensic anthropologist will work underneath a forensic pathologist. They'll kind of get called in if you're looking at a mass grave situation, a kind of natural disaster where identification is the main goal. Forensic anthropologists are more concerned with identification than they are with cause of death, because a lot of the times cause of death won't reach the bones, it'll be buried in the skin and all that sort of stuff. So this book, again, I particularly like because it looks at case studies. I very much like case study focused books that kind of read if each chapter is a different episode of a TV show and you kind of get the background of a case, how they worked on it, that kind of thing. It's just more satisfying. So this book is on here just for that. This book also particularly looks at facial reconstruction, which is a very emerging field and new research is constantly being put out about that. So as a kind of introduction to that discussion, I really recommend this. And this covers a very broad range of topics. She goes from this, it's set in America, so this kind of covers everything from the Civil War through to hurricanes and natural disasters. And to continue on with the forensic anthropology, we have All That Remains by Sue Black. Sue Black is a very, very, very prominent forensic anthropologist. A lot of her textbooks were on my intro to forensic anthropology course that I took last year. She is a great place to start, and this is again a memoir about her life. I will say I did not enjoy this as much as the others because it is not case study based. It is very much her relationship with death and how her relationship relationship with death has been impacted by working in such a field, and how she views it, and like how she thinks that death should be handled by government and stuff. And I think the interaction of her and the British government is particularly interesting. It just kind of provokes thought on something you may not have thought about. You want to learn more about forensics without being like confronted by all the hard-hitting science. I definitely say that this one is the book on the list for you. And the next book is Written in Bone by Sue Black. I did not know that this book existed until about half an hour ago when I was doing some last minute research for this video to see if I'd like missed any, and I'm very glad that I found it, because if my criticism of All That Remains was that there are no case studies, judging by the description and the Goodreads reviews, it has case studies! I haven't read this one. I can't offer much in the way of explanation, but from what I've read, this very much seems to be her going through like case by case or bone by bone the kind of information you can glean from a skeleton. Particularly interesting is Death's Acre Inside the Forensic Laboratory, The Body Farm by William Bass and John Jefferson. This is interesting obviously because it looks at a body farm. There's a lot of ethical considerations. I don't think they're legal in this country, but they're obviously quite well known in America, and I believe the Netherlands has one. I wanted to check it out, but alas, COVID happened and I am back in Exeter. This one kind of stuck out to me in that in All That Remains by Sue Black there is a brief discussion of the body farm, and she seems quite critical of the idea, and she doesn't think that the UK is really heading in that direction. So I would be interested to read the perspective of someone who created the body farm and was kind of behind the whole ordeal in the first place, get both sides of the story kind of thing. And it really does explore the ethical considerations of a body farm. You know, it talks a lot about the protests and the politics behind it all, and it's not completely centered on the body farm, but it does talk about Bass himself and how he ended up in this field. It's not really a memoir, but it has memoir elements. Yeah, I kind of put this on the list because it's a different aspect of forensic science. It's kind of looking at a more research-based, what can we glean from experimental anthropology and archaeology rather than murder. Next on the list is Traces by Patricia Wiltshire. Patricia Wiltshire is a forensic ecologist, I believe. So she looks more at the relationship with nature, and again a different aspect of forensic science in that she looks at traces left on bodies and clothing and pollen and fibres, all those really minute details that do come up in CSI and bones, and that's kind of how they usually solve the cases, is by those fibres. I have not read this one, and a lot of people are critical in the reviews of the lyrical writing style in terms of her descriptions of nature are very lyrical, so know that going in. I just imagine it would be quite atmospheric as well as quite informative. It's on my TBR, but not very high up. The whole ecology thing doesn't tempt me as much as some of the other forensic science books I have on my TBR. If you're interested in seeing some of the forensic science books that I add as I add them, the link to my Goodreads is always down in the description, just if you're interested. And then to put in just like one fictional one at the end, anything by Kathy Reichs. Kathy Reichs is the author of the Temperance Brennan series, which has been turned into the TV show Bones, which is a very well-known TV show, and I'm sure you've heard of it. I don't actually think the TV show is based plot-wise or crime story-wise on the books, but I haven't read them. Kathy Reichs herself is a very, very prominent forensic anthropologist. I am using a lot of her research in my dissertation currently, so I've kind of been encountering her name a lot, and she clearly knows what she's talking about, and I think I would be very interested to see how she brings forensic anthropology into a fictional setting, and how she brings these very technical elements into the wider public understanding. I'll be very intrigued to see how she does it. Those are my forensic science book recommendations. This is a very niche topic for me to do a book recommendations video on, but I've been wanting to do it for so long, so I kind of just decided, forget how niche it is, hopefully someone will find a recommendation in here. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you check any of these books out, please do let me know so I know that this video wasn't completely just for me and some people enjoyed it. Also subscribe and like this video. I would love for you to stick around, watch some of my other videos. There's no shortage of bookish content. If there's another really niche area that you would like some book recommendations for, I'm your gal. I love me some niche. Okay, niche is good. Let me know. Thank you very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you on Friday for my next video. Bye guys.